Are you using sucralose? It is often marketed as Splenda, and it may be something that you've purchased from the grocery store, or it may be something that you use when you go out to have a cup of coffee or tea. And it's also added to many foods to sweeten them. You may wish to reconsider whether you want to be using sucralose. Stay tuned to find out why. Hi, and welcome to Nature's Path to Wellness. My name is Wendy, and today we're going to be diving into a product called sucralose. It is often marketed as Splenda, and even I am one who has used it in the past. It's often found in those little packages when you go to a restaurant, if you want to sweeten your tea or coffee, and it seems like it would be something that would be a good alternative to sugar. However, I did do a video recently and it was all about the seven safe sugar alternatives and nine to avoid. And one of them was sucralose. This is something that we definitely want to be avoiding, and it's often added to many foods to sweeten them. And so it's important to make sure to look on the food packaging of the various products that you're buying. When I first did a little bit of a dive into sucralose, I found out, as I discussed in the video that I did recently, that it was not actually first created for human consumption, and instead it was actually discovered while creating insecticides. Sounds super delicious, doesn't it? Some of the problems with consuming sucralose are that it's known to damage healthy gut bacteria. It's linked to cancer development. It decreases insulin sensitivity. So that's something super important to note. If you are using sucralose or Splenda to sweeten tea and coffee and various things that you may be consuming just so that you can avoid sugar, you're probably actually doing more harm than good. And so, especially when we're wanting to increase insulin sensitivity, avoiding sugar and having a product like sucralose is something that we definitely want to avoid. It just actually it works against us. And in some studies, it is shown that just drinking one drink containing sucralose per day can actually increase your chances of developing type 2 diabetes by 67%. That's crazy when you consider that the whole reason that most people are consuming sucralose is to avoid having sugar itself. So, those things alone would definitely make me not want to use a product like Splenda or be consuming some sort of products that are sweetened with sucralose. And believe me, there are a whole bunch of different products. There's lots of candies that people will buy that instead of sugar, it says, oh, sweetened with sucralose. Or I even tried a pancake syrup once recently, and this is the one that I tried. And I didn't really think too much of it. This was back in the days before I started looking into sucralose more and understanding the damaging effects that it can have on our bodies. And although the product was a good alternative taste-wise and it wasn't loaded with sugar, it's loaded with sucralose. That's what's used to make the product sweet. And so we definitely don't want to be having any of that anymore. And so, just the very fact that it does decrease insulin sensitivity and it can be linked to the increase of type 2 diabetes and it damages your healthy gut bacteria, it's something that you definitely want to stay away from just for those facts alone. However, there are some new studies that are coming in and talking about further damage that sucralose can do to you. So, a site that I subscribe to that provides a lot of up to date information daily about different products and medications and interactions with different medications has sent me an update on some studies that were done on sucralose recently. And so, in this article, it talks about how sucralose damages DNA and is linked to leaky gut, according to a study. And so I will post the link to this article in the description of this video below. A new study reveals health concerns about the sugar substitute sucralose so alarming that researchers said people should stop eating it and the government should regulate it more. Sucralose is sold under the brand name Splenda and is also used as an ingredient in packaged foods and beverages. The findings were published this week in the Journal of Toxicology and Environmental Health, Part B. The researchers conducted a series of laboratory experiments exposing human blood cells and gut tissues to sucralose 6 acetate. The findings build on previous research that linked sucralose to gut health problems, as I mentioned earlier. The researchers found that sucralose causes DNA to break apart, putting people at risk for disease. They also linked sucralose to leaky gut syndrome, which means the lining of the intestines are worn down and become permeable. Symptoms are a burning sensation, painful digestion, diarrhea, gas, and bloating. When a substance damages DNA, it is called genotoxic. Researchers have found that eating sucralose results in the body producing a substance called sucralose 6 acetate, which the new study shows is genotoxic, or it causes damage to your DNA. The researchers also found sucralose 6 acetate in trace amounts in off the shelf products that are so high they would exceed the safety levels currently allowed in Europe. That's extremely concerning. So, in this article, they say it's time to revisit the safety and regulatory status of sucralose because the evidence is mounting that it carries significant risks. If nothing else, I encourage people to avoid products containing sucralose, said researcher Susan Schiffman, PhD, adjunct professor of biomedical engineering at North Carolina State University, in a statement. It's something that you should not be eating. And interestingly enough, with that article, it states that the FDA says sucralose is safe, describing it as 600 times sweeter than sugar, table sugar, and it can be used in baked goods, beverages, chewing gum, gelatins, and frozen desserts. And in order to determine its safety, apparently the FDA reviewed more than 110 studies designed to identify possible toxic effects. However, it's really concerning that these studies are now coming out, and the FDA approved it and said that it's completely safe. But the new studies that are coming out are saying that it is linked to the leaky gut and, of course, damage to DNA. So, to err on the side of caution, I would strongly encourage you to avoid the use of sucralose, marketed as Splenda, and to again watch the video that I mentioned earlier. I will include a link to that video in the description below, and it talks about some safe alternatives to sugar if you're looking to sweeten your beverages and food with something other than sugar. So I hope this video has been informative and helpful for you. If there's somebody that you know that could benefit from this video, I encourage you to share it with them and to maybe give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And do consider subscribing if you haven't already subscribed to the channel for more health and nutrition information. And I do look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, stay healthy.